I've got the 56 International mocked up on my 2005 Yukon frame, and it's actually working out better than I thought it might. As you can see, it's not lined up perfectly. I've just got things kind of sitting there. The front clip needs to come down a little bit more in the front, and I can't do that quite yet because the frame rails need to be trimmed. And the back of the bed is also too high. It's about 2 inches too high. I've got to trim that bed a little bit to get it to sit down. But overall, this is about where the cab's going to go. And I like the stance. Even at a low angle, you don't really see the frame underneath the running boards, which is what I wanted. There's lots of room in the wheel openings there, and the fenders are wide enough for them. Right now there's 31-inch tires on there. I think I can probably go with a 32 or 33 in there, which I think will look really good with the high stance and some big tires on there. I think that will look nice. The front opening here, wheel opening, as you can see, the tire could maybe come forward about another ½ inch or an inch, and that will work out really good because I'm really tight right here at the firewall. You can see the firewall is right up against that valve cover. And if I move it back another inch or ½ inch, that will give me just enough room there. And I think I'll still have enough room for the rad up front. I won't be able to use the Yukon rad because it's too wide, but I've been doing some research and it looks like I can get a 1950 Ford pickup radiator that's already LS swap compatible. So I'm thinking it might work good in here and still fit under the hood. I might have to fit it between those frame rails to get it low enough, but I think I can probably make that work. So anyway, this was a good trial fit on this frame, and I see what needs to be trimmed. The front frame rails, like I mentioned before, do need to be trimmed back a little bit. Had to cut off all the body mounts on the side of the frame to get it to fit on there. So it was nice to experiment on this frame, but I'm not going to use it because it's too rusty. As I mentioned before, a friend and I bought this Yukon together. He needed a bunch of body parts on it. I thought it'd be good to mock this truck up on, and maybe I'll be able to use a few parts on it. But it is quite rusty. Here's some of the body mounts I cut off, and as you can see, that metal is getting very thin there. It's supposed to be like that, but some of the spots are getting quite thin. I wasn't able to find a spot where I could put a hammer through the frame, but I bet you it's pretty close in a couple of spots. So anyway, what I'm doing instead is I'm going to be using this 2002 Yukon. I just picked it up, and it's not that pretty, but that doesn't matter because all I'm using is the frame and the drivetrain, and the frame is good, relatively rust-free. It came from the lower mainland here in BC, and they don't use a lot of salt or get a lot of snow there, so it is good. Also runs and drives. Engine transmission seem to work good. It's the 6-liter in there too, which is nice. I think it's an LQ9. 345 horsepower, so that's nice. It's got air suspension in the back, or not air suspension, but air shocks. They're clapped out and making a lot of noise when you drive it, but I'm going to swap that out for just plain ordinary shocks, and that should fix that. Interior isn't really there. The guy I bought it from, I told him all I needed was the drivetrain, and if he wanted parts, to go ahead and take them. So he pretty much got it the interior, which is fine by me. One less thing for me to do. So anyway, that'll be the next job, is to yank the body off this thing and prep the frame, and then start doing some permanent stuff to get the international body mount on there. Thing I don't like about the Escalade is it's all-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive. But I think I can salvage some parts off the Yukon here to make it into a four-wheel drive. If I use the transfer case from the Yukon and the front axle, that should give me a part-time four-wheel drive system. The Yukon had a push button electric shift transfer case, and basically it's just 4 high and 4 low, and then the 4-wheel drive part comes in the front axle. There's a little motor up front there, and that's what switches your axle off and on, and makes it 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. So I'm going to put this axle, or front diff I should say, in that Yukon and this transfer case. And instead of having it electric shift, I'm just going to put a manual shift lever on that little shaft there, and that should allow me to shift it manually. And I'll have another lever or push button for the front axle, and that will give me my 4-wheel drive. Another thing I picked up was some seats. That was from a pick and pull. They're out of a 2009 Ford Escape, and yeah, they're pretty decent shape. Driver's seat is power. Both have heat in them, and they fit really nice in this cab here. I tried them in there before, and they fit right under the rear window, and I've got leg room in there, so that's good. So I think that'll work out well. So anyway, excited about this. I like this part of the project where you can kind of, if you got a good imagination, get an idea of what the finished product might look like. And I think it might work out okay. I like the stance. I think with the bigger tires on there, it should look pretty cool. So anyway, stay tuned for the next episode where I hopefully get the body off that Escalade and start doing something a little bit more permanent. Thanks for watching.